into a team that was playing really, really well. They just beat us today. That's okay. It happens. Kind of dust ourselves off and get back up and get ready for the NCAA tournament.
The Jaguars' unexpected trade for a backup quarterback was a surprise of the offseason. New addition Mac Jones is happy to be back home.
Love growing up here, and just it's a kid's dream to be able to play for an NFL team, and specifically their hometown team.
At your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, I'm Sam.
At 9:58, it's 66 degrees, time and temp, brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
The Jaguars side of it. They are in agreement with Gabe Davis, who is one of the more fascinating free agent receiver targets out there. When he's been healthy, he's been incredibly productive.
Down the middle to the end zone, and there it is! Touchdown number 4 on the night for Davis. I mean, this is unbelievable of a game. 4 touchdowns. Here's Prescott. The middle, it's going to be picked off, and no one in front of him. Darnell Savage. Touchdown. Duvernay will bring it out. Got a block from Hill. He's got a lead blocker on the way. Chased by the kicker. Getting a block from Harrison. All the way he goes. 103 yards.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Kicking off a fresh week around these parts. Jaguars Today, Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark. Here with you, we'll talk plenty of Jaguars football as we do every day, Tony, but that was a hell of a Players' Championship yesterday.
My gosh,
I mean, one of the best that I can remember all week long, honestly, but great leaderboard, number 1 in the world, holding off 3 challengers. All they needed between them was one more birdie on any of those final few holes, and we would have had a playoff yesterday. I was rooting for all of them to make it,
Yeah.
Wanted Scheffler to make that one on 17, and even though, not Scheffler, Schauffele, I was doing that all day yesterday, too. My wife was like, which one is that again? But even though we picked Scheffler to win, I wanted the playoff, man. I wanted the drama.
Sure.
Wanted those putts on 18 to go down for Clark or Harmon, or that one for Schauffele on 17 would have been fantastic. But Scheffler out there, less than 100% physically, just the best ball striker in the world right now.
Yeah,
man.
it was unbelievable. And, yeah, I was with you. The idea of how much fun it was to watch 16, 17, 18 decide that tournament again, as it does every year. Well, if they go to a playoff, we get to watch them do it again. Right? Like, that's the playoff, is them playing those 3 holes over again. Like, that would have been fantastic theater if it had worked out that way. And, I can't remember ever seeing a putt that could have gone down more easily than the one that could have sent us to the playoff.
I feel like all mine that lip out are closer than that, but that's my own personal point of view. Now, that was pretty damn. When it goes all the way around and comes right back out at you, there's really not much more you can say.
It's like, come on, gravity, do something.
Right, like
help me out.
I mean, one little tick less a pace, I don't know, man, but I mean, that's about as good a putt as you can hit. About as good a putt as you can hit, because the ball could have gone in the hole.
So go down, yeah.
It was what it was, and Wyndham Clark, I thought he had that eagle on 16. That was the one, you know. And if he had that, that would have been a putt to win it outright instead of the playoff. Pockets was out there on a Sunday afternoon, Friday and Sunday, double dipping out there. How was the experience out there at the Players?
It was good. Me and E, we were going anywhere. We got into the clubhouse. We some goats now, man. We're not. When you talk to me and E, you call us goats.
I'm gonna say E got you into everywhere you got. Too.
Yeah, it was actually the media credential, but I didn't know about this goat stuff until the other day. We got out there Friday, and they're like, you can get it here, you can go there.
Yeah, you get the media credential, they hook you up pretty well,
yeah.
right?
So it was awesome, man. I was walking around the front 9. Man, E kind of made me mad. We watched Scotty on the 4th hole yesterday. I'm like, we should go see the second. And E's like, nah, man, I want to go see the drive. We walk away.
Oh,
Scotty holes out,
missed
man.
him holing out.
Damn it, man.
Come on. It's like the most iconic shot of the week.
It was,
right?
Man. I was so mad. But
I mean, it wasn't
awesome,
the hole in one, but it was, nevertheless.
Pretty close to it.
That's pretty. I mean, that's what got him going, on the Sunday charge.
Yeah, we were behind the third tee box, and we heard a roar. I was like, man, something just happened.
Yep. Oh, there you go. Well, I'm glad you had a good time out there, Pockets. I hope everybody got to meet Pockets in person. Just kind of
everybody knew E.
hopping around. That's what I'm saying. Everybody already knows E, so, you get kind of dragged along. I'm the same way. Like, I get every year we spend any time with E anywhere, I get to know more people.
Like, if you thought it was crazy out at the Players' Pockets, at the Super Bowl,
go to the Super Bowl,
was
right?
Insane.
And you're like this random, like, stars going, yeah, man, it's great hanging out with you this week or whatever.
I mean, when you're hanging out with the guy that Richard
on?
Sherman literally leaves the podium to go hug E.T.
Yes.
Right? Like, it was
come off the podium at Media Day, right?
Yeah.
To give him the hug.
It was unreal.
Yeah. Anyway, we're back in the studio. I'm happy for that. It was a great week out there. I mean, if you're going to give us that weather every week, I do every show outside, right? My whole career. Because I'm the guy who likes to be in my little box. I like to know where I am. I want all my stats. I want my computer. I want all these things so we can talk Jaguar football with you. But it was a great time out there. We got a lot of call volume. Appreciate all of you out there who are excited about what the Jags did, or at least, interested in what they did, right? Not everything was 100% bulky, was fantastic all week. Even with the Calvin Ridley disappointment, there was some kind of matter of fact about it, like, bulky didn't blow this. At the same time, even with the good moves that he made, but still got to see him come through in the draft. We understand it's a collective process, but for the week that they had, I thought, and we talked about it at the end of the week, I thought they did quite well for themselves. They add Joey Slide today, Tony, to the kicker competition, I guess. I mean, the Riley Patterson thing, did he all of a sudden get a much stronger leg, since the last time he was here? He's an accurate guy from, say, 47 yards and in, right? And clearly they wanted a guy who could extend their range of scoring opportunities with Brandon McManus last year, and it was going great with McManus until the latter portion of the year. Sly was about statistically like McManus, a little bit below him. These kickers fluctuate. I'm not going to get too hung up on past statistics because we've seen great kickers lose it. We've seen terrible kickers get signed. I mean, Josh Lambo was horrific, right, when he played with the Chargers. Yeah. Comes here and he was fantastic. Was almost the best kicker in the league, right? Just couldn't miss. So kickers fluctuate. I'm going to judge Joey Sly when they've got a 53-yarder that they have to have with less than 2 minutes to go in the game. That's kind of where, all the rest of it's fun and games. If you're up 17 and he drills a 48-yarder with room to spare, big deal, So we'll see how that all works out. But today, want to know, after the work that they did last week, and they addressed their major positions of need, or at least position groups, doesn't mean they're done, but they left themselves to where if they had to play today, they'd be certainly better off than they were a week ago, right? They've got some reinforcements in there. So where do they need the most help still out of these choices? And not in any particular order, not trying to influence it. Is it offensive line? I just put that in there as a group. There's no one specific position that they couldn't play with today, but a lot of those guys are not long-term under contract, right? Sure. I mean, especially at the tackle position. Brandon Sheriff, even though he restructured his deal, what's he going to be here for? 1 more year? So if you can get one of those tackle guard combo types there at 17, that's certainly pretty appealing. So you got offensive line. Pass rush, that's not a position, Tone, but it's something that you have to have, right? I think Eric Armstead helps that. It's interesting that, considering this was the position that we clamored for the most last offseason, right? They didn't add anyone of substance. They haven't really done, unless you're talking about Armstead coming from the defensive tackle position, and he will help. There's no doubt about it. In terms of, like, the guys who are going to put up the sack numbers, beyond the top 2 who return, who's the next guy going to be? I don't know right now, but pass rush as a group, how do you feel about that? Wide receiver. They did bring in Gabe Davis. Yes, they wanted to bring back Calvin Ridley, unable to. So clearly they wanted to have more at the wide receiver position. Is that the biggest position in need? Or is it cornerback, where you have Ronald Darby, and he's played some good football in the National Football League, and he could start right now. In fact, he may be, if healthy, a better starter than Gabe Davis is at his position, potentially, but what's the depth look like at the cornerback position as well?
Yeah, all those are questions, and where exactly Darby's and Antonio Johnson and Darnell Savage, like how they're going to use all those guys, right? Like that's a big question, but the depth behind that at corner is what it is, right? It is Monteric Brown and Christian Braswell, who we saw nothing out of last year, and Tavon Campbell. Like, these are the guys they have, and Eric Hallett. Like, there's just not much there for them in the secondary as far as depth behind the starters. And I do think, and we talked about it briefly last week when we touched on how do they envision using Savage and Johnson, right? Like, how do they envision that? And I do think NFL teams have gotten to a point where it's like, well, we really have 5. Right? Like, I think that's the way they look at it, is we have 5 starters in the secondary, and we'll figure out what we want that to look like, and where we want different guys to be and what the role is going to be down to down. But you're playing with 5 or 6 guys in your secondary all the time. Like, it's constant that you're having that many guys on the field. So if you have 5 guys you feel good about, playing every down, that's cool, but you probably need 7. Right, because of injuries and all that the different things that come into play. So I don't feel bad about the front line for the Jags in the secondary, but, talking about offensive line and some of the issues there, I think it's as imperative or more in the secondary to have a list of 7, maybe even 8 guys that you feel good about. If I put them on the field, I feel good about it because that's the nature of playing those positions in the NFL. And, yeah, corner certainly is one of those spots where it's like, I don't feel great about what it looks like past 3, with the football team. So, yeah, it's certainly a position that I would expect them to still address somehow this season.
I absolutely expect them to still address it. I mean, you can make the same argument, I think, for most of these positions we're talking about. Though.
Sure.
You got pass rush. You feel good about your 2 edge guys. You feel good about your starters. What do you have coming off the bench at any position, be it defensive tackle or defensive end? Same with wide receiver, beyond the top 3 guys. And the top 3 guys, what are we getting out of Zay Jones this year? Is he the guy who was a pleasant surprise his first year here? Is it the injury-prone player that he was last year? Yeah. Have we already seen the best from him? I don't know. That's another one where I feel like today we could play with the 3 that we have as the top guys. You do have Parker Washington, who's a bit of a wild card because he's probably not going to be returning punts or kicks unless Duvernay gets injured this year. Duvernay is going to be active on game day. Can Elijah Cooks make a dent? And then if you go out there and add another one to the mix as well, are all those guys going to even make your 53-man roster then at that point in time? So let's get into that today. You can continue to react to what the Jags did in the first week of free agency and let us know. Perhaps you didn't get a chance to call in last week, but give us your thoughts. Are you pleased with what Trent Baalke was able to accomplish? Are you disappointed we didn't get Ridley? Do you think maybe that we're better off not giving him 4 years, $92 million? Whatever the case may be, share your thoughts with us on the week that was in free agency. But really looking ahead now to what the Jags still need to do. Some of the dust has settled. As you see today, with them going out and signing a kicker, that doesn't mean there still won't be more moves. It's just that the big ones are likely done with Armstead putting a bow on that class last week. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. If you want to be a part of the program today, 641-1010 on the All-Pro Roofing phone lines or on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hit us up on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark. Pockets.
Why?
Will help on that.
I'm a goat now, man.
Oh, you're a goat. Is that what you are?
On,
okay.
Man.
I thought you were a sheep for a second there. I wasn't 100% positive. That was definitely a goat though. One of the young goats of the Players Championship and 1010XL and Jacksonville at large. Dylan Denmark, everybody. All right, and you can also hit us up in the YouTube chat today if you're taking in the show that way. Let's talk Jaguar football for the next 2 hours. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
JOI, where the pros go. He's our high school sports muscle.
Stop calling your arms guns.
Ryan the Hacker Green.
We're going to do some
different.
Hacker After Dark.
A little more down to earth.
Right after Rick Ballou. Evenings on 1010XL.
It's time for some Spring Fever March specials going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Mia here, and how does this sound? Just $500 down and $288 per month gets you a pre-owned 2021 Toyota Corolla. Or you choose a pre-owned 2021 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma for just $500 down and $388 per month. Plus Arlington's Credit for Everyone program and 30-day exchange. Don't wait, save thousands and shop arlingtontoyota.com today.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors, and with great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? How about scheduling a free consultation or just stop by the Pella showroom right there on Phillips Highway next to Tesla? Pella's professional consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. From simple projects to complex renovations, their team has the experience needed to make your project a success. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
If you're an experienced, skilled plumber or welder that's MedGas certified and you're tired of working for a company that just doesn't treat you right, Local 234 is the place for you. Their pay is the best in the business. You'll walk away with $35.09 an hour in your pocket. With benefits, that's just over $50 an hour. Local 234 has been around since 1901, and that means something. Visit UA234.com to send your resume. Local 234, make the right connection.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll-and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to cam locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
This week, everyone is a college basketball fan.
To tie it. Oh, an impossible shot.
Listen for live tournament updates on 1010XL.
Down the one.
Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic Service, and Air Conditioning.
Hacker here, and you know something's starting to get really fun and kind of ridiculous, but in the best way possible. I'm talking about my weekly Awaken 180 weigh-in. This week, I was down another 5 pounds. That's right, 30 pounds lighter in just 3 weeks. Now, if that's not ridiculous, I don't know what is. It's something I could have never imagined happening, especially so quickly. I mean, those weight loss injections, they would have taken me a year to achieve what Awaken 180 has done in just 3 weeks. I can see the difference, I feel it, and yeah, people are beginning to notice too. Whether it's viewers on the Twitter broadcasts, friends, co-workers, the change is unmistakable. Got questions? Shoot me a tweet. Or, if you've been following along with Mike, Matt, and myself, make the call to Awaken 180. The results, they speak for themselves. Folks, they're real, and they're absolutely life-changing. Call 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Dave Binion here with my son Ammon, who is the air duct cleaning manager at Zero Res. So Ammon, you may notice a little rattle in my voice and some puffiness in my eyes. That's because allergy season is coming on. Can Zero Res help?
Yes, your health has a lot to do with the air you breathe. A clean and healthy home begins with clean air. At Zero Res, we can help clean the air in your home by cleaning your air ducts, cleaning the coils in your HVAC units, and fogging the system with a powerful antimicrobial that helps kill and control the growth of microorganisms in your air. We also have options for maintaining your clean air with our excellent inline air purifier and UV lights that will help keep your system clean and healthy. At Zero Res, we are more than just air duct cleaners. We're a clean air specialist.
Have Zero Res air duct specialists out, and right now we'll give you $50 off your air duct cleaning, and while we're at it, we'll give you $50 off your dryer vent cleaning. Zero Res.
Spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. When getting pens with your company's logo on them, get nice pens. No one wants to steal a pen that doesn't work. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Remember that the Big Diamond Store doesn't want you to shop and compare. They know they can't beat Beard's Diamonds prices.
Right now, it's 0% financing for 5 years, plus get zero down on everything in the store.
Don't buy anywhere until you shop Beard's Diamonds.
Hey sports fans, it's Ace Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Are mosquitoes turning your outdoor fun into a full contact sport? time to call in Kingfish Pest Control. I can tell you from my own experience, they are the MVPs of mosquito elimination. See for yourself. Call Kingfish Pest Control today and get an unbeatable 50% off your first treatment. That's right, sign up for a full season of lockdown coverage and get 50% off your first treatment. Don't let mosquitoes steal your home field advantage. Reclaim your yard with Kingfish Pest Control.
Duck Rooter is now hiring plumbers. We offer excellent weekly pay, paid holidays, health insurance, 401k, and so much more. Apply now at duckduckrooter.com. That's duckduckrooter.com and click on the careers page. Duck Rooter is an equal opportunity employer.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
So, Pockets, I thought you were the new young GOAT of Jacksonville. Is that not the case?
No, I'm a GOAT, not the GOAT.
Oh, a GOAT. Okay, because
Yeah.
ET just brought Tony and I some Pro V1s with like a GOAT silhouette on them, which indicates to me that ET is the GOAT because I didn't see Pockets bring me any Pro V1s this morning, Tone. Although it's just a single Pro V1, so I probably should hang on to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could lose that quick.
Probably.
Rare is the round that I make it through with the same golf
Just
ball.
putt it. Don't hit off the tee box.
Yeah, probably won't do that. But anyway, thank you, ET. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into it. 641-1010. You want to talk a little Jaguar football? Take us on the tour of what's going on in your mind based on the first week of free agency in the books now with Trent Baalke making a bunch of moves. Were they the right ones? Calvin Ridley not back in the fold. Was Baalke saved from himself by the Tennessee Titans being willing to pay an average of $23 million to Calvin Ridley? The rumors were that Jags were in like the $20 million a year range right there. And then Calvin Ridley, Tony, all of a sudden, didn't use me the right way, and I didn't have a good enough guy opposite me. Like, again, I can't begrudge anybody for chasing $50 million in guaranteed money.
No.
But, hey, Calvin, consider what your market was or might have been when the Jaguars gave you that opportunity and treated you like a number one wide receiver last year. Maybe a little appreciation for rehabbing your image and skill set to enable you to get $92 million potentially on the open market. But it'll be that much sweeter when Monteric Brown puts the clamps on him.
Yeah, there's something about these guys putting on that Titans uniform, man.
Yeah, well, it took all those comments coming out for me.
Yeah.
Like, again, the Titans uniform, again, I
like
totally
Arden
understand
Key's
why
talking
you go
about
there.
a key to the city.
Maybe
and
that's what it
like,
is,
there's
right?
something about that uniform. I don't have a problem with people signing wherever they're going to for the money or opportunity or whatever, man. You take care of yourself. No issue with any of that. And, the initial things that came out with Calvin Ridley standing up there and saying, look, I wanted to stay in Jacksonville. Didn't work out. They offered me more money here. This is why I'm in Tennessee. And it was like, cool. All that makes complete sense to me. They didn't use me right. They didn't have the right guy on the opposite side of me. It's like,
I'm a grown man. Well, hey, you know what?
Okay.
Yeah. Right? Like, you're a grown man who, I don't, honestly, we'll save it for Titans Hate Week, perhaps, but he's going to make it easy. Right. I have a feeling.
Like, I didn't even have any hate.
Like, I didn't either.
I had none. He chose where the better money was. I was like, good for you, man. Like, that was the extent of my thought with it.
It was like, why did it have to be Tennessee? But sure.
Good for you. And then all the other stuff, it's like, like, it doesn't bother me as much as it's going to bother the fans, right? Like, those guys are going to be like, this, like that kind of thing. Like, that's going to be the reaction to Calvin. And I'm cool with that.
Honestly, if you come in here wearing a Titans uniform, you should feel that way about those people anyway.
Absolutely.
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
Right? So those people, those bad people who play for the Titans. All right, let's go to the phone, 641-1010 to kick off a fresh week here on Jaguars Today. We'll go with Steve on the north side to kick things off. What's up, Steve? Steve, you there? Duval. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, man, what's up, fellas? I'm going to be honest. I'm still not a big fan of Trent Blake. Be honest. There's no difference. But I like what he's doing. I love what he's doing, bringing in the right people. He probably will say, be honest, with not getting Calvin Ridley. If we go back to the 22 season, I feel like that what made us so good because we didn't have a number one. And if you look at the Philadelphia team that they had when they won the Super Bowl, I don't think they really had a true number one guy on their offense. So, I mean, with what Doug Peterson does, I'm still happy. I'm pumped. But I'm like, man, we didn't need, really, unless if we get IU or T Higgins. I'm with it. But at the end of the day, it still go Jags. Y'all have a good day.
All right, appreciate it, Steve. Look, we don't need a number one receiver unless we can get one of these number one receivers over here. Yeah. Like, I'll take Ayuk and Higgins too, right?
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. The Jaguars' passing game was pretty good the year before, and at this stage, Marvin Jones is not as good as Calvin Ridley. No. He's not, but Ridley gave you a dynamic. Look, I've seen all the drops. We watched them all live, right? I've seen all the clips. I've seen everything. I understand he dropped a bunch. He may have run some wrong routes, whatever. There were some miscommunications, whatever you want to attribute it to. He still put up numbers that were better than most Jaguar receivers have in a single season when you combine the catches, the yards, and the touchdowns together. So I don't think that they won't miss Calvin Ridley. I do think that there is more than one way to go about it. And you can look and say, this team doesn't have a true number one wide receiver. Like Kansas City doesn't. They have a true number one target in Travis Kelce.
They
obviously.
do it in other ways. Yeah.
But at the same time, Philly didn't have that. Okay, but, for every team that you point out that doesn't, there are teams that do. Like when the Rams beat the Bengals a few years ago, right? Cooper Kupp was clearly an alpha receiver. Jamar Chase was an alpha receiver. Yeah. So I would prefer to have one of those guys because it changes the way defenses have to game plan.
I did enjoy and appreciate the Urban Miller moment with the Trent Blake to start that call.
Yes.
That was nice.
Yes.
To begin that call. But, I think there's a difference between – there are levels, right, even to being a number one wide receiver. Every team has a guy that they're going to look at and say, that's our one. It doesn't mean they are a one, from a league perspective. It's that we're in a situation where that's the guy that we treat as our one, and it's more like we treat a bunch of guys as twos, right? And that's the way they make their offense work because there's only so many guys that can do the job that you look at and say, that's a number one wide receiver. I saw Doom this morning talking about the conversation that Sims is having about Calvin Ridley going to Tennessee, and he said he's a number one wide receiver, and Doom walked away from it, and he was like, look, I saw Jimmy Smith play. That's what a number one wide receiver is. And I'm like,
all right.
Jimmy's a Hall of Famer. That Jimmy's at a different level even of wide receivers in the history of the league, right? He's a guy that could wind up in the Hall of Fame, and you wouldn't even blink an eye. Be like, yeah, he deserves it. The way his career went, he deserves it. To be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, if that's where it winds up. That's a different level even to being a one in the league, right? So there are levels to these things, and you can squint your eyes and see Calvin Ridley as a one. It's not hard to envision him being a number one wide receiver in the league. It wouldn't be hard to envision it here. Even last year, it's not hard to see that that's the role that he had here for a season in Jacksonville. That doesn't mean that he's Jamar Chase, and it doesn't mean that he's Jefferson. He's not at the level of those guys, but he's in the category of one, but not the elite of the one.
Yeah, it depends on, again, what is a one? Are there 32 of them? Is that just mean there's
32 teams that have a guy at the top of their depth chart.
Sure. Right, yeah. And that's why I'm saying you have to define what it is because to me, you can't say there are only 4 number one wide receivers in the National Football League because there's a very select handful of guys that are at the very top. Jefferson and Chase and Hill and CeeDee Lamb, and that might be it, right? And I mean, other guys pushing up against that group like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Puka Nacua last year, what have you. But that list is incredibly short. I still think Calvin Ridley, when you look at the guys, when you look at this team, do we have to game plan for Christian Kirk? Well, you got to be aware of Christian Kirk, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to game plan for Gabe Davis and Zay Jones. You have to be aware of their skill set. You can't just blindly go into a game. But you got to come up with a plan more so to deal with Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, to me, is a more taxing receiver to prepare for than some of these other guys. That doesn't put him on the Jamar Chase level, no. But, again, this is kind of semantics, right? He's a guy that going to Tennessee, I think right now, he's kind of like the co-one with DeAndre Hopkins. I would suspect Ridley will be better this year. He's a little bit younger than DeAndre Hopkins. And there's certainly part of it, too, Tony, is a team then will try to justify that status because they paid him $92 million, right? By the way, Calvin Ridley, how many times can you get the ball thrown to you and you still feel like the Jaguars didn't utilize you properly last year? You know what I mean? Like, how many more targets is he possibly going to get in Tennessee? I give him credit, though. They're pushing their chips in with their young quarterback and trying to find out if he's the guy or not. And, this is a year all about learning whether or not Will Levis is the answer for the next 5 to 10 years in Tennessee. You've given him Ridley. You've given him Hopkins. Chigakonko, brought in Tony Pollard, brought in a new offensive philosophy, a modern philosophy where it's not 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Yeah. The Tennessee Titans team the Jags are going to see in the next few years is going to be vastly different than almost any Tennessee team that we've ever seen because they've seemingly always had that identity, and it hasn't always been exactly that, right? But it's been the Eddie George or DeMarco Murray or Derrick Henry, big back that's going to carry the bulk of this offense.
Derrick's gone. They got to change the way they play offense, right?
Big time.
Like they got to join modern football up there in Nashville. I'm looking at the stats from last year talking about number one wide receivers, right? And there were, let's see here, there were a dozen wide receivers in football last year that had 1,200 yards. And they're the names you would expect. Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, right? That's the end of that list. Next couple of guys there, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman Jr., Devontae Adams. Then George Pickens was 16th.
I look at Devontae Adams. He's clearly a number one receiver.
Right. But I think it's easy to see all those names that we just went through there, that the team that they're on, they view whoever the name we just said was, that's their one. Right? There's not a whole lot of debate about whether or not they are a number one wide receiver and that team's number one wide receiver. It's rare that you have a team that has the argument over who that might be to some degree. Like there's very few teams that have Tyreek Hill and Waddle, right? Where if Tyreek did decide to retire this offseason, Waddle being the number one for Miami, it'd be like, okay. Like he's not Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill is a guy that we may be talking about in the Hall of Fame. Again, it's a different kind of level. There are levels to what these guys do. But I could envision Jalen Waddle being a one virtually anywhere except Miami. Right? Like, there's a lot of places I think he would be a one, but he's not going to be the one in Miami with Tyreek Hill on the other side.
He's going to be somebody's one. I don't think of Jalen Waddle in the same terms as I do a lot of these other guys because they've proven it multiple times over in most of those cases. And in the case of a guy like Stephon Diggs, I wonder, is he still going to be in that category? He has been.
With him, yeah.
But if you look at really where he went from the second half of the year, and now he's at it again with the social media ongoing, like, there are people who be like, I don't care, give me Stephon Diggs here. I think you got to be careful with guys like that are always making it about themselves a little bit here. I don't know. I think Stephon Diggs still has something left in the tank, Tone. I don't know if I'd put him in that group right now with some of those others, but maybe that's a good number, 15, 16 guys, something like that are true game plan for top of the depth chart type guys. And, there are a few others like T. Higgins and Devontae Smith, that if they weren't with a true number one, maybe they'd get the kind of volume and the numbers that would indicate that they could be that guy.
And that doesn't get to, a Chris Olave or a DK Metcalf. Jefferson wasn't mentioned there because he had the injury stuff last year.
I think
he's
DK
clearly a one.
Is probably in that category.
Right. Like, I think there are guys that are in that kind of list, and Philadelphia is another one of those places. If Devontae Smith had to be the number one, he doesn't have to be. They have AJ. Right? Like, they're both really good wide receivers, but Devontae Smith having to be the guy for the Eagles, I think the Eagles would be okay.
They'd be okay, but some of it is, like,
they're a bigger threat with both.
Those guys kind of cruise in under the radar, and they're getting they might not get the same targets, but also getting different coverage than they would get if they were the true number one as well. Either way, Jags don't have that guy right now. Does that make that the biggest position of need for the team? You can vote on that today now that the first week of free agency is over. Is it cornerback, offensive line, pass rush, or wide receiver that you feel the Jags need the most help at? Currently over 400 votes on that, and we'll check in throughout the course of the morning on our Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. When we come back, Tone, I got a fresh post-free agency 7-round mock draft for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Do they have at least – look, again, you get even to the 17th pick, you can't be sure who's going to be there. So it's more about, are they lining up the needs properly with what the Jags currently have on the roster? We'll take a look at that when we return in the moment. 641-1010 if you want to be a part of the conversation, talking all aspects of Jaguar football with you here on Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods, sandwiches, subs, yum, yum. You got something in your belly, and you know it's going to be delicious when you swing into a gate station and head to the fresh case and look for the Dandy or Anytime Deli labels. Plop down just a few bucks because the prices are always reasonable with Dandy, and know you're going to get food made with the highest quality ingredients that are locally sourced as often as possible, delivered fresh practically daily around the First Coast. Great variety. What's to not like about Dandy? How about a hot roast beef and provolone right now, an Italian combo that'll melt in your mouth, an all white meat spicy buffalo chicken, the classic big old juicy 100% beef cheeseburger, all these options and more served on fresh ciabatta bread, baked locally, delivered daily. What else would you expect from the Thompson family, the folks that are bringing you Dandy, fresh and never frozen goodness for over 6.5 decades? Dandy is absolutely the name to know for food on the go in Duval. So when you're hungry, do what I do. Go out and make yours a Dandy. Do it today.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
We got a great show for you today.
Join the 1010XL Podcast Network.
A big show.
Now you can find all your favorite 1010XL podcasts in your platform of choice.
A king-size show.
Madness is almost here. Well, String Sports Brewery in historic Springfield is the place to go for all the tournament action. The atmosphere is unrivaled. Our show will be there live from 3 to 6 on Friday, March 22nd. So come watch hoops and shoot hoops with us. That's Friday, March 22nd from 3 to 6. Soak in all the madness at String Sports Brewery. Family, beer, sports, and madness at Strings. Come out and see us in Springfield at String Sports Brewery.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
Ackerman Cancer Center now offers total body MRI, the latest industry-leading technology. Just one non-invasive scan provides a complete picture of your health to detect and monitor cancer with precision at AckermanCancerCenter.com.
What Major League Baseball player has drawn the most walks during his career? The answer next.
How long has it been since you compared homeowners' insurance rates? Log on to southernoak.com to get an instant quote or find an agent near you.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Barry Bonds holds the record for most career walks, being given first base over 2,500 times.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Fish are good at hiding. Captain Kevin can help you find them.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Find more fish on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
Thursday nights at 6.
Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss on 1010XL AM.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not looking at the rearview mirror of unforgiveness. It's so easy to keep looking in the past when someone has hurt or offended us. What we don't realize is that if we keep looking at the rearview mirror of anger, it will cause us to miss out on the good things that God has in store right in front of us. Friends, looking in the rearview mirror of the past will never give you peace in the present.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what Wonderworld wants you to do. Wonderworld knows there are other window companies out there.
But we also know those other guys. When compared to Window World, they can't offer you the quality at the price that Window World can.
And with Window World, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new Window World windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, Window World and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with Window World, and to top it off, Window World windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with Window World. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call Window World today and get your free in-home estimate or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
When it comes to commercial fence services, Superior Fence and Rail has you covered. If your business needs automatic gates or security fence and railings, trust Superior with your next commercial project. Superior's team delivers great communication, high-quality products, and exceptional customer service. Just read any of their 2,300-plus reviews.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Get Gators play-by-play on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Your cooling system isn't working. Maybe somebody showed up with a portable electronic device. Then they discussed with you what your options are. Maybe they gave you an estimate that seems like an awful lot of money. What's the smart thing to do? When the situation merits a second opinion, get a Mike Merritt opinion. Yes, the Mike Merritt Comfort Team shows up with hand tools. We've never been able to fix an air conditioning problem with a tablet. Mike Merritt has been the trusted name for more than 30 years because there's never any hocus pocus. The Merritt team will walk you through the diagnostic steps up close and personal and show you exactly what you need. And the Mike Merritt price is likely to be far less because there's never an overtime charge, and the Merritt team doesn't work on commission. So remember, when it comes to the health of your cooling system, a second opinion can only help, and a Mike Merritt opinion can save you money. Florida license CACO 50384.
Frank Frangie here. I was born and raised in Jacksonville, and I love living here. But I also know how bad bugs are in Florida. So I trust Orange Environmental Services to handle all my pest control needs because they've got the best technicians and effective treatment. Their name may be orange, but they think green. Orange Environmental has been serving the First Coast for over 50 years, and they now offer complete lawn maintenance services. Call Orange Environmental Services for peace of mind from bug problems today. Call them at 272-3284. That's 272-3284.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, so what are we thinking, Tony, for the Tuesday top five, which, by the way, we just kind of pushed off last week because when we're on location like that, it's a little harder to dig into. And we had, free
agency, everything to react to from Monday.
Didn't need to gimmick it up, you're saying?
Right. It was an added distraction to what we wanted to talk about last Tuesday, but it's different. We're back to our regularly scheduled programming now.
Right. So you're look, in terms of free agency, they might still add a guy here or there, but it's not going to be any big guy that we're all clamoring for. I mean, look, again, if they get a Brandon Ayuk, that's a trade scenario anyway. That's not a free agent move. I don't think that that's going to happen. I said it last week. Then again, I didn't think they'd have the money to do what they did last week and to go out and sign Eric Armstead, 3 years, $51 million and all that. So, again, the more you find out about that guy, he's like the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee multiple times.
Yeah.
Just a lot of similarities to Calais in that regard, right? A veteran who's been a really good player for another franchise at this stage of his career, still got something left in the tank, maybe a little something to prove coming to a new team after he's played with one for his entire career. Known as a great citizen, versatile player, can play inside and outside, can provide pass rush and leadership and all those different things. And I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Calais was in 2017. That was an exceptional, one of the great years of Jaguar performance of all time.
That's to the wide receiver conversation we were having in the last segment. Calais Campbell is a Hall of Fame worthy player, right? Like he's right there on the borderline of the Hall of Fame.
Had he not played big end in a 3-4 defense in Arizona all those years, he'd probably have much better sack numbers.
Like I don't know if that's where he's going to wind up, but he's worthy of that kind of consideration. So that's a elite of the elite kind of talk with Calais Campbell.
All right, so that's not going to be the focus. So tomorrow we're thinking, all right, it's similar to today's question. We're asking you what the biggest need is, what position they still need the most help at.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean you have to spend the 17th pick in the draft on that position.
No.
Right? You spend a couple of mid-round picks on corner and you hit on a couple of guys and you got cheap labor there and, maybe one of them pushes to start right away. The other one is depth and whatever the case may be. That's one way. Maybe you go out and draft Terry and Arnold out of Alabama, and that's great too. All right. And so anyway, what we're going to do tomorrow tentatively, and I'll tweet this out later today, your top 5 specific player wish list for the 17th pick right now. Guys that you think, should we put either at the pick or with a trade up even? That could be a whole different category. I'll think about that today a little bit because you could do if you were going to be enticed to trade up, who are the 5 players that would most likely make you move, right? And maybe it's all those top 3 receivers and a pass rusher or an offensive tackle or 2. Who knows? But we'll think about it. But be on the lookout for that later on today.
We got more than one Tuesday between now and the draft. We'll get to all of it.
We do, absolutely. So maybe we'll do tomorrow to be kind of your wish list for who you think realistically might be available for them with the 17th pick in the draft. Let's take a look at this, Tony, from Pro Football Network that I found this morning. Ian Cummings over there did a 7-round mock. And again, I don't hold them to who they project in the 5th round. You know what I mean? I want to see, are you saying the Jags are going to be drafting a running back in the 2nd round? If so, I can pretty much ignore your analysis. Then again, maybe you have a little bit more insight to Trent Baalke than we do, right? Because Trent will draft a running back, at least for the last couple of years. I do believe running back. I'll be shocked if they spend any pick on a back. And I get it. They drafted one each of the last 2 cycles. Yeah. I think they've got something. They think they still have something in Tank Bigsby, and they brought Dearness back, too.
They draft a running back in the 2nd round. I might just start calling him Blake out of principle.
Well,
I just don't want to get his name right.
In the 2nd round, what if it's Blake Corum out of Michigan? Then he is Blake. Then that's very fitting at that point in time. Look, I don't think you're going to draft a running back at all. Never mind the 2nd round. I may have my own brand of pitchforks to sell if that's the case. Come on. So anyway, ProFootballNetwork.com. You can head over there if you want to check this out in a little bit more detail. But this would be a pretty good scenario for them. I've seen this player mocked to the Jags in a couple of weekend mock drafts. Terry and Arnold, who I just mentioned, out of Alabama. Arguably the best corner in the draft.
Yeah.
Right? But the way this draft is going, Tony, 4 quarterbacks for sure now, right, in the top 16 picks. Easily, right? It's at least 12 other position players. Definitely going to get 3 receivers, maybe 4, right? Now you're down to 8 guys coming off the board. Handful of offensive linemen? Sure, right? Couple of pass rushers? Sure, right? All of a sudden, Brock Bowers, is it going to go exactly this way? You might have your choice of any corner. Now, then again, the top couple of corners could be gone in this scenario. But this is what Ian Cummings wrote at Pro Football Network. Ryan Nielsen runs a man-oriented scheme. Ryan Nielsen will say, I'm glad you think that. And there's no corner prospect better equipped to thrive in man coverage than Terry and Arnold already. He's advanced beyond his years technically, and his absurd fluidity and closing burst allow him to suffocate wide receivers. I have zero problem with a lockdown corner at 17. None whatsoever.
Makes all the sense in the world, yeah.
I'll tell you this. We do our top 5. If this is going to be the top 5 for tomorrow, he won't be number 1 on my list. But I'll be sad not at all if Terry and Arnold is who they come away with on the first Thursday night of the NFL draft. Now, been working on this guy. Right? Is it Rook?
I do not know.
You know the defensive tackle
I
out of
do.
Clemson,
Yeah.
right? Dude looks like he's poured into a mold out of central casting to me. Now, granted, Jags just signed Eric Armstead.
Mm-hmm.
How big of a need is this? Well, you do run those guys kind of in rotation. And it's not easy to find interior defensive linemen that can give you push in the pass rush game. So they say about Aurora Rowe. He's already a stellar run defender. 6'4", 294, 34-inch arms, 4.89, 40 speed. He has the athleticism to be a menacing alignment, versatile pass rusher as well.
Yeah. And I think along those lines, when you look at not only the depth, right, which behind the front three right now for the Jaguars, you're looking at Tyler Lacey, who was a fourth-round pick last year, Jeremiah Ledbetter, who they just brought back, right? Adam Gotsis, who's a good pro, but he's not an elite player, obviously. What is going to be the future for Devon Hamilton?
Don't know.
I think they're
hoping it's that of a starter.
Right, but was that a one-year freak injury? He's going to be fine going forward? Because if he's not, then defensive tackle in the first or second round makes all the sense in the world. When you look at their depth chart at that spot, I don't know how they feel about Devon Hamilton coming off that kind of injury, which basically wiped out the entire season for him after they gave him the long-term deal, because he was an impactful player for him 2 years ago, but last year was a zero.
And I'm projecting, but if you're the Jags and you feel like he's going to be healthy, I don't know how you couldn't feel okay about him, right? Because you gave him the contract expecting a certain level of performance. Then he gets a freak injury, gets the infection, all this different stuff he's dealing with. It's kind of like a fluky type situation.
The hope would be he's fine in the aftermath of it.
He's the player that you saw the value in giving him that contract extension in, and you were kind of making him the centerpiece of that positional group on this team. Well, now Armstead is that. But if you can have Hamilton and Roy Robertson Harris playing up to their 2 years ago level, that's a pretty decent group potentially, right? I mean, it's not the greatest. I think the depth issue is greater at edge than it is at defensive tackle at the moment, potentially. That's assuming Devon Hamilton's going to be healthy.
But, looking at that, if they get to the second round of the draft and that's the direction they want to go, it would make sense to me, right? Like, it would make sense to me because I still think you look at the depth they have at that spot, and that is a position where you rotate as much as you rotate anywhere on your defense, is that front hand on the ground defensive lineman. That's where you're rotating guys in and out. So a guy who plays a bunch is going to play maybe 75%.
Yeah, but ideally you're only rotating with three, though. You know what I mean? I mean, like in the heyday when you had Henderson and Stroud, it was Rob Meyer as that third guy. And there was always two of those three were always on the field as long as they were healthy.
But I do think, talking about the Hamilton side of it, and I'm fine if they want to look at it and say, look, he's going to be okay. It was a year we lost it. But I'm also okay if they look at it and say, I don't know if he's going to be okay. Right? Like, I'm okay if they address the position from that perspective of, I don't know if he's going to be okay. We're not okay if he's not okay. Right? Like, if they just look at it and say, we're not okay if he's not okay, and I'm not sure that he's going to be okay going into this season. So addressing that spot makes sense to me still at that point in the draft if they are given that kind of opportunity.
All right, let's look at one more here, and then we'll get to the back half after break. And people are saying, oh, got to address wide receiver. Well, again, you have one pick per round, and you can't address everything immediately. But so far, they go in this mock, Terry and Arnold. Then they go defensive tackle or with Aurora. I can't say it. I'll learn it if I have to. Malik Washington, Virginia wide receiver. Gabe Davis, the vertical threat. Christian Kirk, the space creator. Malik Washington can be a defensive nightmare in the slot with his burst, twitch, and steady hands. Kind of got a slot receiver here, I felt, in Christian Kirk. And you also have potentially what you feel is your down-the-road replacement, if it works out, in Parker Washington. 5'8", 192 pounds. That's not the type of wide receiver I want to add to this football team, Tone. I want I want an all-around guy who doesn't, right? But I want like a 6'1" guy who can profile. Like, Malik Washington's never going to be a team's number one wide receiver. I wouldn't think.
I wouldn't think.
Now that doesn't mean any receiver you take in the third round is necessarily going to be your number one, but there are so many different type of receivers. I prefer, the big-bodied red zone guy, sure. I feel like Adonai Mitchell has a chance to be a little bit of everything, because he's tall, he's got the speed. He just doesn't have multiple years of high-level production. So this one, I'm a little skeptical. And it's not because of Malik Washington. I'm skeptical of taking any 5'8", 190-pound receiver in the first 3 rounds for this football team.
No, I'm totally there with you. It's the slot receiver position is the one position that I think they have the most covered, right? And they do have a guy in Christian Kirk that could play inside or outside. He showed that 2 years ago here in town, where if you have to play him more on the outside, he's fine doing it. He can be a 1,000-yard receiver guy who pushes inside for you every now and then when you see an advantageous matchup, that kind of thing. He's a good enough player to do that kind of thing for you. But if he has to play outside, okay. Christian Kirk can do that for you and be a quality player doing that kind of thing. But I'm with you. Like, slot wide receiver would surprise me a little bit if they went to that in any of the first 3 rounds.
Right. I feel, Christian Kirk will thrive in the slot. And like you said, he can play outside. I'd rather find an outside receiver. I feel like you can always find a slot guy like in the middle rounds of the draft. Parker Washington, if he turns out to be, was a 6th-round pick. Look, Malik Washington was absurdly productive in college. So I'm not saying, maybe he's another Tank Dell coming in, but if Houston had Christian Kirk in place, would they have gone the Tank Dell route? You know what I mean? He could be. Is he the best player? Is he the best use of your resources? They're not necessarily the same question. So anyway, this mock so far going corner, defensive tackle, wide receiver, although more of a slot guy for the Jags. Where do they go for the remainder of the picks? We'll take a look when we come back on the other side. Hour 2 is coming up. If you want to get in and look back on the first week of Jaguar free agency, we certainly invite those calls. Today's question of the day, now that first week is over, which position or area of the team do you feel the Jags still need the most help at? Is it cornerback, offensive line, pass rush, or wide receiver? You can vote at MD_1010XL on the X platform. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the JOI studios at 1010XL.
I'm Logan Cook from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
So Logan Cook will kick it away. They're going to throw it to Walker. And it's going to be a first down.
On 1010XL.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is giving away free beer again this year for the Madness Tournament.
Do they really give you a free pint of Miller Lite for each game you pick right?
Yes. All you got to do is fill out your bracket at 1010XL.com. The overall winner gets tickets to the Luke Combs concert and wings at the show. But for free beer, just download your bracket, print it out, and bring it to any Mr. Chubby's Wings location during the games. Every game you pick right, you get a free beer.
Go to 1010XL.com now. It's the free beer Mr. Chubby's Madness Bracket Challenge. See Mr. Chubby's Wings Facebook for full contest details.
Mike Dempsey here. Look, I'm happy to see so many others make the same 180 with their weight and start Awaken 180. Hacker, he's now down 30 pounds in only 3 weeks. Amazing results, lifetime results. With the solution for weight loss, Awaken 180 weight loss.
Attention all business owners. The raining season is coming and it's important to ensure that your property storm drains are free from debris and functioning properly. That's where Duck Duck Rooter comes in. Our powerful VACCon truck can effectively clean out your storm drains and prevent costly damage to your property from flooding. Don't let clogged storm drains ruin your business and reputation. Call Duck Duck Rooter today to schedule a cleaning before the rains hit. 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckrooter.com.
New and pre-owned firearms are always in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimbar, Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauer, and Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach.
This is Hayes Carlion for Skylife Elite. Have you ever thought about aircraft ownership as another potential revenue stream and as a tool for tax savings? Put your tax money to work for you while enjoying the benefits of private personal travel. Skylife Elite has over a decade of experience in business aviation and can guide you through the process with their expert staff. Call my friends over at Skylife Elite at 490-9332 or find them at flyskylife.com to get the rundown on everything owning an airplane can do for you.
I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping first-time home buyers with their mortgage financing all over Florida for 34 years. First-time home buyers can get no or low down payments, anywhere from 0 to 3.5% down. As a first-time home buyer with Trustline Mortgage, you get added benefits for doing your loan with us, like lower rates on your mortgage insurance and lower closing costs. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Trustline gives first-time homebuyers better mortgage interest rates? Here's the bottom line. Trustline Mortgage wants to help first-time homebuyers accomplish your goal of home ownership. That's why Trustline Mortgage is offering the best first-time homebuyer benefits around, period. Trustline Mortgage delivers with no and low down payments, lower closing costs, and better interest rates. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. Yes, 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you buy your dream home. Or visit our website at trustlinemortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing opportunity. MLS number 331480.
I'm Taylor Rose with our Remedy Staffing Westside office off of Normandy Boulevard. We are helping great people find great jobs. Remedy has helped some of the best employers in Jacksonville find talented job seekers like you for over 25 years. Our current job openings range from entry-level distribution center pickers to equipment operators. Apply today at remedygoodjobs.com. Don't wait. Apply at remedygoodjobs.com now.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
We love talking sports on 1010XL, and I9 Sports love giving kids the perfect way to grow up playing sports. Summer and fall registration is underway, and if you log on to i9sports.com, you'll see all they've got to offer for kids 3 and up. And don't forget to enter 1010 in the promo code for a discount on registration. Year-round sports all across the First Coast, from St. John's, Duval to Clay. Summer and fall registration open right now. Fort Family Field in Westside Middle, or online at i9sports.com. Get your kids in the game with I9.
Have you been dreaming of enhancing your living space with top quality custom windows and doors? Make that dream a reality with Renewal by Anderson. And right now, buy one window or patio door and get one 40% off. Plus, no money down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer expires March 31st and restrictions apply. Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com.
License number CGC 1527613.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to our website, CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Wingstop. The Gators men's basketball team put up a valiant effort this weekend in the SEC tournament, defeating Alabama and Texas A&M to earn their spot in the final. The Gators went on to lose in the championship game to Auburn 86-67. Head coach Todd Golden spoke on the disappointing loss yesterday.
Obviously, a disappointing outcome for us today. First and foremost, I'm incredibly proud of my team. I feel like they've done a great job just fighting and staying the course. And we didn't play our best today, but our effort was there, and our intent was there. Our heart was in the right place, head was in the right place. Just ran into a team that was playing really, really well. They just beat us today. That's okay, it happens. You know, we'll kind of dust ourselves off and get back up and get ready for the NCAA tournament.
It's 65 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Oh, we'll get to it when we go around the league coming up next segment, but it is crazy what happened with Trevor Lawrence's quarterback draft class. Whew. I mean, just now the shuttling off of these players for pennies on the dollar, if that.
Yeah.
And Justin Fields, that's literally all you can get. And this, I guess this idea now, Tony, you just can't draft Caleb Williams with Justin Fields on the roster because you're going to have factions. You're going to have people thinking this guy should play. If this guy struggles, you got to make it all about the one guy. I mean, you're the number one overall player in the draft. I guess I get it, but are you that mentally weak that, if there's a former top pick on there that you're afraid that if you have a bad week, you're not going to keep your job? Or I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I find it hard to believe that Fields can only draw a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, it's nuts that, they're giving up the same value and pick that the Jags gave up to get Mac Jones.
Right.
What?
I mean, Kenny Pickett got a 4th.
Yeah.
To clearly be a backup and nothing more.
Yeah.
Whereas Fields might one day recall. I mean, Fields could beat out Russell Wilson flat out. I know they're saying Russell Wilson's a starter, but.
Yeah. Such a weird, that Kenny Pickett was that upset by what happened in Pittsburgh with them bringing in Russell Wilson that you go to Philadelphia where when are you ever going to play,
Never.
man?
Well, it's not like he chose to go to Philadelphia,
No,
though.
but it's like, what did you do to yourself?
Yeah.
Like, at least in Pittsburgh, there was a chance that you don't think you can beat out Russell Wilson?
Well, and that's the thing, though. If they and yes, I do feel, obviously, he has a much better chance to play in Pittsburgh than he does in Philadelphia, but he's probably looking at it like, wait a minute. Like, I know I had a bad year last year, but you're guaranteeing that Russell Wilson's a starter?
Yeah.
What has he done for this franchise? Not a damn thing, you know?
Sure.
And it's not like he was great last year either. If Kenny Pickett wanted to be mad, it's when he got healthy last year and they kept playing Mason Rudolph anyway. That was a good time to be mad.
Well, yeah, and at the end of last season when he didn't dress for a game late in the year.
Right. Well, he chose not. They wanted to be the emergency quarterback.
Like that kind of thing. It's like, Kenny, come on, man.
You're going to kind of get your way out of there. And Kenny Pickett may start games in the National Football League. We don't know who's going to get hurt, right, in any given time.
Sure.
I doubt Kenny Pickett will ever be considered someone's starter.
No.
Again, in the National Football League. I don't think that's necessarily the case for Justin Fields.
No.
At this point. So we'll get into around the league coming up. But, again, going back to this 7-round mock, let me just get through it here. Terry and Arnold, row. That's what people are telling me. If you go to YouTube, he's got a video. Row. Okay? I'll go with that.
Okay.
The defensive tackle out of Clemson. And Malik Washington, a small receiver out of Virginia. But I don't mind the position. I just want a different type of receiver. They go edge rush with the 114th pick, Cedric Johnson out of Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Another defensive tackle, Tony, with pick 116, Tyler Davis. Almost makes me wonder, are you aware of the Eric Armstead sign? You know what I mean? Like, all right, I get it in the second round. Like, it's an important position, even with Armstead coming in. Okay, we'll address it. We're going to get another two of the first 5 picks defensive tackle. I don't know if I want to see that. Kalen King, another corner, and multiple picks on corner is fine.
Yeah.
With me at pick 153. A guard, Isaiah Adams out of Illinois with the 212th pick, and then Tanner McLaughlin, the tight end out of Arizona, because we got to have one oddball, balky selection, I suppose. They haven't been paying attention to that, at least. But overall, all right. Don't love it. Terry and Arnold, that'd be a home run. Again, not necessarily the top guy on my list. He isn't the top guy on my list. We'll get into our list tomorrow. Row, if that's what we're going with.
Mm-hmm.
Not even guaranteed to be one of your top guys immediately in the rotation, necessarily. Although you would hope that if you're taking him with the 48th overall selection, he's going to be able to force his way onto the field as a rookie. I don't love this. In part, and it's not so much the positions as it is the players a little bit, and doubling down on defensive tackle was a little bit much for me. I'd rather I don't mind the defensive tackle pick in the second round, but I'd almost rather get an offensive lineman there, because that is going to be, again, a position that you're probably going to have to find a minimum of one, possibly multiple starters by next year. And, again, I think if they go with a guy there, they're going to get a lot of criticism, though, if you get a guy that is kind of a thought for the future. Oh, Balky thinks we're set. We need guys that can help us now. Well, next year, if it turns you've got a walk-in starter that has been practicing in your system that plays better than the 48th pick in the draft, it may be the right direction to go. I don't know if Trent Baalke, though, can afford to play it that far out in the future. I do think if the Jags take a step, like if the Jags were to go 7-10 this year and not go to the playoffs, then I think all bets are off with Shad Khan's level of patience. I think Trent Baalke's got to have another winning season at minimum. And if he does, again, 3 winning seasons in a row, even if they don't make the postseason, I find it hard to believe Shad Khan would move on. But I do think there's a little bit of pressure to get immediate help and not, say, draft a tight end and running back who really aren't going to make an impact in the rookie years with the 2nd and 3rd round picks.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to think about it in relation to the question of the day we're asking today. In what position or area do the Jags still need the most help? And we have corner and offensive line both on there, right? And I think you can make similar arguments, and now we're talking about defensive tackle there, second round of the draft, like those kind of things. And we just talked about Devon Hamilton and what is his future playing career here in Jacksonville, these kind of things, these questions that are up in the air for the team. I think you can look at corner and offensive line, and the arguments for why you'd want to address them are pretty much the same in both spots, right? Like, you don't have anything on the offensive line that is all that solid beyond next year, So you got to be looking to the future at that spot. Corner, the depth just isn't there, so the argument's a similar one there. And I think defensive tackle, depending on how much of a question you think Devon Hamilton is, right? That one is wide open to me to interpretation as to how much of a need you think it is right now for the football team, as to how you feel about Devon Hamilton coming back, right? Because the depth is, there's just not much there as far as depth for them at that spot. There's not much there as far as depth at corner. There's the future of the offensive line is, they're pretty okay for 2024.
Right. What about beyond it?
Right. Like, it's at all 3 of those really crucial positions, it's hard to know, what does that look like in 2025 and 2026 at any of those spots right now? And they've addressed all of them to some degree, right, with what they've done in free agency to this point. But none of the answers that they brought in, and it's the nature of free agency, they're not long-term answers. Right? Anything you're doing in free agency, generally speaking, is going to be, this is going to fill in a hole for us for 2-3 years. That's the idea. The draft is where you go, we got him under contract for 4, and we really like him as a second contract guy. Hopefully that's what he develops into. And he's really an answer at a position for a decade. That was the conversation with Fortner when he got drafted. The opportunity there in front of him to maybe be the center for the football team for the next decade. Right? Well, 2 years into that, it's like, they got to move on.
Yeah.
That's how those situations can play out. But they're all kind of, they've addressed everything, but they haven't addressed anything to a degree where you're like, they're not doing that, right? Like, they haven't addressed anything.
Well, let me ask you this. In another mock here, Ryan Wilson of CBS has the Jags going Byron Murphy with the 17th pick and acknowledging that they signed Armstead. And still, do you think that is a good use of resources to go defensive tackle with the first-round selection?
Again, that's the Hamilton thing.
Yeah, depending on what they think about Hamilton. I got to believe they think that Hamilton's going to come back. And from everything I've gathered, it's kind of a fluky situation that he's going to come. I mean, he came back and played, but did he get the effective play strength? Did he get his confidence back? I think that was a lot of question in the second half of the season last year.
I think the first round of the draft is where you have to be committed to whatever your ranking is. And if there's the possibility that they get to the 17th pick in the draft and the guy that they have at the top of their list is a defensive tackle, I think there's a possibility that that's the way that it would play out. And I'm okay with that if that's the direction that it winds up going. It's not looking at it right now it's not the position I would circle as they really need to address this the most, right? But it's not a position that I look at and say, well, they don't need to worry and address that. Like, I don't necessarily put defensive tackle in that category. I'd rather the pick go to a corner or an edge or an offensive lineman, like a tackle, at that spot. But if it winds up being a defensive tackle, if he's the highest rated guy on your board,
and,
okay.
And if we don't let anybody score, we're probably not going to lose many games.
Probably.
This year as well, which is nice. All right, today's question of the day, now that the first week of NFL free agency is over, which position or area of the Jaguars do they still need the most help at? Cornerback, offensive line, pass rush, wide receiver, your options. You can vote one click over on the X platform, @MD_1010XL. When we return, we will go around the rest of the National Football League. Plenty of moves made not only last week but over the course of the weekend. So we'll delve into some of those and how they may impact the Jacksonville Jaguars, perhaps, if they were made by teams in the AFC South. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you on Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios at 1010XL. Drinking cocktails with Warren Sapp and smoking stogies with Ed Reed.
What are you talking about?
Former Miami Hurricane Leon Searcy is sharing his best stories with you.
Stories about colorful characters.
On XL Primetime in the noon hour on 1010XL.
The best campfire stories happen when the sun goes down. And the best savings happen at General RV during the RV Show After Party Sale, March 20th through the 24th. RV shows are over, but you can still get a low RV show price, and that'll save you thousands. Plus, come in to see how you can camp on us this summer. Start your next campfire story with how much you saved, only at General RV in Orange Park on Wells Road off 295.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
Your AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. FloridaHomeAC.com.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision, and equal opportunity employer.
Buzzer beaters, squeaking sneakers, championship believers. Follow the madness and listen for live tournament updates on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic Service, and Air Conditioning.
Ready to join the team? The Jaguars and our stadium partners are hosting a job fair Wednesday, April 3rd to find enthusiastic new faces to serve as ushers, ticket takers, concessionaires, security, and more for the upcoming season. Stop by the Fields Auto Group Terrace Suite at Everbank Stadium from 3 till 8 p.m. on April 3rd to apply. Professional dress, a pen, and a smile are all you need, so stop by the job fair to be a part of Jaguars Game Day. Equal Opportunity Employer.
Race into Gate for big offers. By big, we mean great deals on Red Bull and a chance to win tickets to the big race coming to Miami May 3rd through 5th. Buy 2 8.4-ounce cans of Red Bull, get one free. And if you're a MyGate Rewards member, you are automatically entered for a chance to win race tickets. Not a member? Download the Gate app and sign up today. See store for details. Go from good to Gate.
At Target, our prices for Easter are so low, you can put all your eggs in one basket. Surprise them with Target exclusive Favorite Day treats, like our unique chocolate bunny and a cute basket, all from just $4. Add in some fun with a 6-pack of bubbles, 50-piece sidewalk chalk, and super soft stuffed animals, all from $5. And get great family picks with new Easter looks. It's easy with women's and girls' dresses for only $20 and under. Low prices on everything for Easter? Now that's Target.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Hear the Florida Gators all season on 1010XL. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Jaguars Today
on 1010XL.
We'll go around the league here in a sec. You know, we were talking about a minute ago, Tony, Calvin Ridley going to Tennessee. Where does he fit? And the conversation is a number one wide receiver in the NFL. On the YouTube chat from Chris, Ridley is definitely a number one wide receiver in the league. Next comment, still from Chris. DeAndre Hopkins is washed up. Tennessee made the right move, as hard as that is to say. In other words, giving Ridley all that money. See, Ridley, 76 catches. Hopkins, 75 catches. Ridley, 1,016 yards. Hopkins, 1,057 yards. Ridley, 8 touchdowns. Hopkins, 7. Oh, there's the difference. There you go. Hopkins is washed. They're identical. Except Hopkins is averaging about a half yard more per catch than Calvin Ridley last year playing with a rookie quarterback. I just, if you want to wish that every player on Tennessee is washed up, DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley almost could not have had more statistically similar seasons last year. And I get, you can argue, well, that's Ridley coming off of this, whatever. It's what he produced. Yeah. It's who he is at the moment.
It's a perception thing, right? We all have seen DeAndre Hopkins as one of the most dominant forces in the league at that position, for a time in his career. The guy's a 3-time first-team All-Pro, 3 years in a row. I think he was. He also had a couple other years where he was a second-team All-Pro, I believe.
He'd been 3 times over 1,400 yards.
Right. Like
receiving.
We've seen what Hopkins looked like when he's an alpha of the alphas, right, in the league. And last year with Tennessee, he was good. He was really good, but he wasn't that, right? He wasn't the Hopkins that we saw dominate the league there for a number of years with 15 different quarterbacks in Houston and doing all the stuff that he was doing. So, well, if he's not that level anymore, he must be washed. And it's like, well, no, he's pretty good. And his pretty good is at the same level of production that you saw Calvin Ridley have, right? And that's a guy that we've never seen have to be the alpha. He's never been in the situation. He always had Julio on the other side of him to play off of.
Even in his big year, Julio was there, although the dynamic shifted as to who was the more
but that feels to me,
player.
That's the perception thing. I've seen what it looks like when Hopkins is dominate. That's not what last year looked like, right? But it's not that he was bad last year. He was as good a player as Calvin Ridley was.
The 2 previous years, he had injury-plagued seasons.
Yes.
And his numbers were down. And he's also playing with a revolving door at quarterback at times in Arizona when Kyler Murray was hurt.
Absolutely.
And look, it's all – it is funny how perception – I mean, if you put those numbers side by side, who had the better year, they're basically identical.
I mean, 2 years ago in Arizona, you had 700 yards in 9 games, right? Like, he was a guy that was going to be a 1,400-yard guy. Like, he was going to be that 12, 13, 1,400-yard guy.
Yeah, 1,200 yards, something like
that.
At
30.
Right.
Right, like, he still had that in him. And last year playing in that Tennessee offense, we just talked about, they're having to rethink the way they play offense. They're in Tennessee this year. They're doing that on the fly. Now, with Derrick Henry out, 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns is a productive year.
Yeah.
It may not be 1,510, which is what he's capable of.
Probably
at
never
one
make
point.
a Pro Bowl again, but to say he's washed.
Come on, man.
I mean, all right, that's fine. Yeah, it's kind of wishful thinking.
Only compared to where he was.
Yeah, sure, right. Yeah. And but if
not compared to his peers in the league.
Regardless, I don't care where Calvin Ridley was. I cared if you sign him, what is he going to do going forward? Now, you can make the argument, well, after knocking the rust off, he'll be better. Maybe he will.
Maybe.
Or maybe the drops will plague him again this year. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe DeAndre Hopkins playing with a guy for the second consecutive year will have much better chemistry and put up better numbers as well. Look, I hope both of them fail miserably, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just the argument that Ridley is clearly a number one and Hopkins is washed up, like, you're not living in reality.
Yeah.
For more so because I think the answer is Ridley's not clearly a number one, not in the sense that we are talking about. Honestly, I look at them. The money indicates he's the number one in Tennessee, but I'd look at them as a 1A, 1B. Pretty similar guys who probably not as good as they once been in the past, but can still get the job done. And if I'm Will Levis, I'm feeling pretty damn good.
It wouldn't bother me.
That they're entering the modern National Football League, and it's not just going to be turned around and handed 300 times to a downhill runner like Derrick Henry. That Tony Pollard signing is very odd to me. It's very similar in a lot of ways to Tyjae Spears up there. That you don't really have that guy that can pound it between the tackles.
Yeah.
You got two shifty guys who are good pass catchers.
Yeah. It's odd to spend that much money to reproduce the same skills you already have on the roster.
Seemingly, a lot of the same skills. It is kind of weird. All right. With that, why don't we take a look around what's going on with the rest of the National Football League?
Now, Gems Around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Free agent wide receiver Mike Williams still has interest from the Los Angeles Chargers to potentially return there after being released by them last week. Williams also has visits set up this week with Carolina, Pittsburgh, and the New York Jets. Free agent cornerback Tre'Davious White has visits set up this week with the LA Rams and the Las Vegas Raiders. The Chicago Bears are trading quarterback Justin Fields to the Steelers for a 2025 sixth-round draft pick that could turn into a fourth-round pick. One day earlier, the Steelers traded quarterback Kenny Pickett and a fourth-round pick to Philadelphia for a third-round pick this year and two seventh-round picks next year. The Los Angeles Chargers are signing linebacker Denzel Perriman on a one-year deal. Perriman was a second-round pick of the Chargers in 2015, where he spent his first 6 years before playing 2 years with the Raiders, then spent last season with the Houston Texans. The Cleveland Browns have agreed to a one-year deal with quarterback Tyler Huntley, and the New England Patriots are signing wide receiver KJ Osborne.
All right, thanks, Tone. PFT asking the question today, why would Philadelphia trade for Kenny Pickett and give up a fourth-round pick when you could have had Justin Fields, presumably for at least a fifth, right? I mean, he went for a sixth, which could elevate to a fourth based on playing time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you don't know how much Justin Fields was given any say in this. If we're going to dump you for whatever, are we looking for the best scenario for you to go to? I don't know if that's the case or not. But, again, it goes back to there's a school of thought. What did the Jags do with Gardner Minshew when they drafted Trevor Lawrence? They didn't want there to be any question. They didn't want there to be any factions, any camps, anything like that. What if Jalen Hurts misses time and Justin Fields comes in and plays well? I mean, it's such a seemingly bad way to do business that you're afraid that the guy that you say is the most important player in your franchise that you're willing to spend $50 million a year on is not able to deal with having another talented player at his position on the roster. And some of it's that, and some of it's that the backup quarterback is oftentimes the most popular guy. And if Fields came in, let's say Hurts missed 3 weeks and they went 3-0, Tone, and they were 4-2 going into it, and they go 3-0, I guess I could see a scenario where it creates at least publicly a little bit of pressure. But it seems to me that with as many seasons that are ended and ruined by quarterback injuries, if my quarterback's got that fragile an ego, I should have found that out before I paid him $50 million a year.
Yeah, I would think so.
I didn't like giving up Minshew for pennies because the guy can play.
Yeah, he can play.
You know what I mean? Like who would you rather have if Trevor Lawrence were to miss a month? Gardner Minshew or any of the recent backup quarterback options the Jags have had, including Mac Jones. Give me Gardner.
Yeah.
Right?
And look, the Jaguars in the end did Gardner Minshew a favor by getting him out of Jacksonville.
Sure.
And, that's worked out okay for him. He got the opportunity to play when Hurts got hurt, right? That one season when Philadelphia was a Super Bowl team that year. Gardner got to play that year. He got to play all of last season with Indianapolis. The year after that all went down. It's gone okay for Gardner Minshew since he got traded here out of Jacksonville. All the stories seem to indicate that there were 4 or 5 offers that may have been better than the 6th, ultimately, that Pittsburgh is sending to get Justin Fields. I can understand from Fields' perspective, I don't know where those other teams were and what exactly that looked like, but if I was the guy that was getting traded to a team right now, I can understand why you might want to go to Pittsburgh and compete with Russ. Okay.
Sure.
Right? I'm fine with that being where I'm going to wind up to go try to win a starting job potentially, even if when I'm walking in the door they're going to tell me Russ is the starter right now. It's like, all right, I'll show you, right, who the starter is.
And they can say all they want about Russ being the starter, and Mike Tomlin apparently called him when they made the trade for Fields. Like, hey, is Russ, Russ is your employee, right? Like, I don't, this bending over backwards for Russell Wilson. He already signed the contract, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
you're paying him nothing.
You're paying him less than $2 million. Yeah. You're paying him like a long snapper or a special teams gunner is what you're paying him.
That's your minimum, yeah.
Right. So I'm quite frankly not that worried about Russell Wilson being upset. And if Russell Wilson, and that's the thing, I believe he's thin-skinned enough to need that phone call. Honestly.
The way things have gone, yeah.
To assure him that we're not bringing this in. Like, hey, what's wrong with competition? And, I get it. Russ wants to go where he thinks he has the best chance to play. But that doesn't mean you should be guaranteed that necessarily. Like, the reports are when he met with the Giants, they're like, look, we're not bringing you in here to start over Daniel Jones. No, all right, no thank you. Mm-hmm. Not going to go that route, and he picked the spot. And I get it. You want to play. That's fine. And the spot where a team had interest in you where you're likely to see the field, I put him out there for the entire summer, make it a no-holds-barred competition. I think Fields wins the competition. Yeah. Or at least if I'm Pittsburgh, that's what I want to see happen because he's got a future. Like, what is Russell Wilson's future in Pittsburgh going to be? Couple-year extension for crazy money? I'd much rather go the Fields route and roll the dice on that.
It's pretty clear that Russell Wilson is a player playing a position where he didn't have to deal with competition at all for basically a decade in Seattle.
No, he beat out Matt Flynn.
Right. Like, once he won that job, he was a Pro Bowler that first year, right? And he wound up making 9 Pro Bowls there with Seattle over a 10-year period. Like, there was no competition for the starting QB job for Russell Wilson for a decade there in Seattle. Well, then he gets traded to Denver, and they give up all that they gave up to get him. It's like, well, he's not going to have to compete for a job there. And then halfway through that first year there, it was like, what have we done? Right? That was the reaction from everything on the Denver side of it. What have we done? Making this trade for this guy, the level of player that we're getting right now, we got to figure something else out. We have to figure something else out. And I didn't think he played terribly last year, but he certainly wasn't the Pro Bowl guy we saw for 10 years in Seattle.
No.
Right? Like, he's not that guy anymore. So a guy who didn't have to do it for 10 years being put in a situation now where he's going to have to do it, I don't know what that does to a guy's psyche. But apparently it doesn't help Russell Wilson's, right, with whatever it is he's dealing with it, his side of it. If I'm Justin Fields, though, I walk in and say, I don't care what you say to me. I'm going to beat this guy out.
Right. Like, I'm going to make you play me.
Right? Like, you're not going to have a choice. Once you see what I'm doing and what he's doing, you're not going to have a choice.
He's also got to do that.
He's got to do it.
Right?
But he's the type of player, he's young enough, he's still bold enough that with everything that's going on, I wouldn't be surprised at all if his attitude is, say whatever you want, I'll show you.
Yeah. Well, for his sake, I hope he's right.
Yeah.
Go out there and make the most of it. But, again, there were people, who knows how it would have gone if the Jags had selected Justin Fields. If they had the second pick, that's who they should have been taking.
I would hope
that year, and not Zach Wilson or Mac Jones or any of these other guys. But obviously, no guarantees there. And you look at this quarterback class. Well, if you're New England, you have to get one. Okay, probably, right? Probably so. But do you have to take one at number 3? there's no lock. We just went through the class there with 5 guys, and 4 of them are already kicked to the curb, traded, cut, what have you. Is there any guarantee that this group is going to be any different? There's not. But you got to have that guy. If they believe in Drake May or Jaden Daniels, whoever's available to them, fine. If they think J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix has just as good a chance to have long-term value, you can get a hell of a lot for that pick this year. Seemingly, there's going to be somebody willing to make that jump, whether it's Minnesota, who now has picked up a second first-round selection with that trade with Houston. Houston will have an extra second-rounder next year, so 2 first-rounders for the Minnesota Vikings. They're seen to be the team that is positioning themselves so that move up the draft board. All right, we'll come back, and we'll look at today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Let's debate these positions. Stone corner, offensive line, pass rush, wide receiver, not necessarily specific positions, but areas of the team. Which one do the Jags need the most help at now that the first week of free agency has had the dust settle on it? We'll discuss that when we continue in a moment. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL, 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. You hear Hacker having great success. Matt Hayes has done it. I did it way back in September. Hey, don't forget about that, because the key is the loss, it's going to come. You're going to lose weight if you follow the Awaken 180 plan. It's impossible not to lose weight. They have had such success doing this, but the trick for Awaken 180 is there's not a trick. It's a plan that you will be able to maintain that weight loss for really as long as you like. And I've been able to do that now for close to half a year, all the way back in September, all the way through November and October, November, December, all the holiday season, all those big eating holidays. And I've had a plan with Awaken 180. Great coaching, and you get free coaching and support for life, by the way, once you hit your goal weight. So why don't you start today? Start shedding those pounds before summer gets here at 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800 for Awaken 180 weight loss. Over 21,000 satisfied customers aren't wrong. Go online to awaken180weightloss.com.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
This is Kyle Busch.
The Candyman comes. Kyle Busch gets it done at Charlotte. He is now won everywhere.
And you're listening to 1010XL Jax Sports Radio.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is giving away free beer again this year for the Madness Tournament.
Do they really give you a free pint of Miller Lite for each game you pick right?
Yes. All you got to do is fill out your bracket at 1010XL.com. The overall winner gets tickets to the Luke Combs concert and wings at the show. But for free beer, just download your bracket, print it out, and bring it to any Mr. Chubby's Wings location during the games. Every game you pick right, you get a free beer.
Go to 1010XL.com now. It's the free beer Mr. Chubby's Madness Bracket Challenge. See Mr. Chubby's Wings Facebook for full contest details.
Feeling the chill or breaking a sweat in your own home? Call JTM Comfort Services. Father-son owned and veteran operated with 40 years experience to serve the Guggen Nation. JTM Comfort Services gets it right the first time, providing top-notch service, maintenance, and replacements for your heating and cooling needs. Get up to $1,300 back on the new system. Right now, get a free service call with any repair or replacement. Licensed and insured. Visit jtmcooling.com.
Your comfort is our name. Call my dad to keep you in the game.
It's Kubota Orange Days, your golden chance to score a deal that will make your neighbors green with envy. Shop the year's best selection of Kubota tractors, zero-turn mowers, and utility vehicles, including the #1 selling compact tractor in the USA. And get the year's best deals, like 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,300 off L3302 tractors. Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road and in McClenny.
Coastal Equipment. This is Mia for Window Gang. Window Gang is the premier exterior cleaning service in Northeast Florida. They aren't your average window washing service. Nope, they offer pressure washing, gutter cleaning, and more. Quality services, professionalism, and always great prices. Call their super friendly staff now at 262-7300 to schedule your free estimate, and be sure to ask about their New Year specials. Window Gang, service beyond your expectations. 262-7300.
MyBookie and Mr. Chubby's deliver the madness. Fill out your bracket at 1010XL.com. For each game you win while you're watching at Mr. Chubby's, you'll win a free beer. Overall winner scores Luke Combs tickets and a Mr. Chubby's wing dinner.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
This is Hayes Carline for First Florida Credit Union. I bank with First Florida Credit Union because I trust them. I can always count on them when it comes to the vast services they provide. First Florida Credit Union was voted Best Bank in the 2023 Best of Bold City Community Choice Awards, and it's easy to see why. I go to the branch off 210 in St. Johns County and the new Durbin location, but they have 10 branches in the Jacksonville area. You need to be banking with First Florida Credit Union. They're enriching people every day. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
I-9 Sports wants to make sure kids all over the First Coast can enjoy growing up on a field or in a gym. And right now, summer and fall registration is open. So make sure you find out what I-9 Sports offers in your area across Duval, Clay, and St. John's. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all. Selling or pawning, get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
This is Hayes Carline for SkyLife Elite. Are you tired of canceled flights, unruly passengers, and layovers? Call my friends at SkyLife Elite. Consider using private charter flights for your next adventure. Yes, you can afford it. Make your own schedule. Fly direct. Drive your car to Craig Airport and get directly on the plane. SkyLife Elite can make that happen. Call 490-9332, go to flyskylife.com, and find them on social media. Fly SkyLife Elite, North Florida's premier private air charter.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Chad and Sandy Real Estate bring you the question of the day on a daily basis here on the program. And obviously, most of what's going to get done in free agency is done. Although the Jags did sign Joey Slye today, the former kicker for Washington, Carolina. Has he kicked for anybody else?
I don't believe so.
I think those are the two.
Yep.
Right there. He's in that bin of recyclable kickers.
That's
right.
The kickers.
Yeah, there's like 45 kickers for 32 jobs, right? And there's the guys that have the jobs, and 2 or 3 of them at any given time are kind of unknowns, right? Just coming up.
Sure.
And then there's the vets that have done it for a variety of different teams that are waiting for the call, and and it's the same group, and it's like, well, this team thought this guy was no good. Well, what does Washington know about Joey Slye? Well, what do we know about Brandon McManus?
Right.
I mean, pick your poison. Sometimes guys are good for one franchise. They're not good for the next. Kicker is a very, that's why when you find one, the Jags have had some success historically. When you find a good one, you can stick with them and make it don't even think about a position. That's a nice issue to have.
There is a greater than 0 chance and less than 100% chance that Sly's another one of those guys. Like, you just don't know.
Right.
With these kickers that have gone to 2 or 3
I have no idea if he'll be on the roster in September.
Don't know. But there's some chance that he gets here and it's like, I don't know why it's working for him here and hadn't worked in the other two.
Man,
but
this guy's got a huge leg.
Right? Like, I can't explain that and why it happens at kicker as often as it does compared to other positions, but it just does. I don't know why. And look, I hope whoever's kicking for the Jags is as successful as they could possibly be.
Absolutely. I hope they're only kicking extra points.
Yeah.
Is what actually, we're going for 2 on everything now, Tony. Just, I guess, a bunch of touchbacks on all those kickoffs after we scored touchdowns.
Works for me.
Yeah, just whatever. All right. So Today's question, now that the first week of NFL free agency is over, which position or area of the team do the Jacksonville Jaguars still need the most help at? Pockets.
10-10 take. Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take. Brought to you by Leonard Truck Accessories.
Well, Tone, I know if you're talking about Jaguars today, the answer would probably be, do we still need the most help at? It would not be producer, because we've got a self-described GOAT manning the position now. Hey, GOAT, which position do the Jags still need the most help at in your estimation?
I had to go one. I'd say corner.
Corner?
Yeah. You got Tyson Campbell, and you still need – I still think you need another option a little better than Darby. Because, I mean, if Ryan Nielsen, if he's going to play this man-to-man concept that we've all been hearing about, you still need that guy in the first round, regardless of who it's going to be, whether it be Mitchell from Toledo or Cooper DeJean. For it to be an effective defense, I think you still need to go corner at 17.
Pockets, I'm putting you on notice. I expect a top 5 list out of you tomorrow.
All right, I got you.
Because you just threw a couple of your targets right out there at number 17. So I think corner's very defensible, Tony. It's pulling in 38.5% of the vote right now. Well, what do you say?
I could vote at one of 3 spots, right? There's a fourth where I feel all right about where they're at with it right now, but one of 3 spots. I think ultimately I'm going to land at wide receiver because they don't have anybody to go at the top of the depth chart. I think that Trevor Lawrence is a talented enough player that he can make it work, like we saw him make it work a couple of years ago. So I think they're in good hands offensively with Trevor Lawrence being the guy pulling the trigger on all this stuff. But they don't have a top end of the depth chart guy. Their depth is bleh. Like, there's just nothing there to feel good about with the football team right now. So if I had to pick one, I would still choose wide receiver.
And you do have to pick one, which is the nature of the question of the day. I'm going to go with Pockets on this one. I think right now, again, this is not to say they're fine everywhere, right? No. They're not. We're picking one that you feel you need the most help at. I do think, if healthy, Ronald Darby is a solid option.
I do too.
To even start for this football team, right? Like, I don't think you necessarily have to have a walk-in day one opposite Tyson Campbell ready to go full-time starter on this football team. But you get beyond that, Tone, there are questions about how they're going to handle nickel corner on this football team this year. Could Antonio Johnson handle some of that? Absolutely. Maybe he could. But I think you need better depth at the corner position overall. And I could see, if you did take a guy at 17, being an immediate day one, maybe even the best guy in your spot, on your squad at that spot, right from the jump.
Yeah.
Maybe you could make the argument, like if Brian Thomas of LSU was sitting there at 17. Some people would say Adonai Mitchell out of Texas would fit the bill as well. That guy could prove to be that right away. I think it's sometimes a little tougher transition to expect that. Now, we've seen wide receivers come in and hit the ground running more frequently in recent years, but oftentimes those are the top 5, top 10 selection type guys. I do believe that they need an alpha. Like, if they get an alpha, everybody moves down one spot. That wide receiver core could be hell on wheels, right? If you get the right guy in there. But I also feel like if I had to today, if everyone's healthy, I line up with Kirk and Davis and Zay Jones. And then some combination, like, first of all, I don't need a fourth receiver all the time. But if I did, some combination of Parker Washington or Devin Duvernay or Elijah Cooks or Tim Jones in a pinch for that given day can get me by at a position that's not going to get many targets anyway. Whereas at corner, you start getting into those nickel and dime packages, and I don't feel as good about the guys I'm going to be putting out on the field at the moment. Look, they're both pressing needs for this football team. And quite frankly, I think pass rush could prove to be one of those areas, because I think it's unrealistic to think that Josh Allen is going to replicate 17.5 sacks. He's never done it before. Maybe he does, and he becomes that consistent guy where he's upper teens every single year. That would be fantastic. And offensive line, I think, again, it's similar that if they had to play today, I think
they're okay.
They're okay. Yeah. And in terms of, even could withstand one injury with the presence of Walker Little, that doesn't mean they're great. That doesn't mean they're as good as they need to be to get where they need to go, or that they have a long-term answer either at one of the tackle spots or at the right guard spot. But again, I don't feel like it's that pressing in the immediate moment as much as those others. If they go, Tali Fuanga or Troy Fatano is sitting there at 17 and they go that direction, I'm not going to complain about it.
Not at all.
You know?
I think what the Jags have gotten done in free agency puts them in a position where there's nothing that you circle and say they got to do this or they're just being irresponsible, right? Like they've done enough that there's not a position that they have to address in the draft the way that it felt like they did last year, right? They got to get a tackle in last year's draft.
In order to play.
Right. That's the position they have put themselves in. They've done enough in free agency where there's no position that you're circling like that, even among the ones that we have listed today. Corner, offensive line, pass rush, wide receiver. But any of them where if they drafted a guy at any of those spots at 17, you'd be like, oh, I get it. Right? Like none of them are eliminated from why are you doing that? Right? Like none of them.
Including pass rush,
right,
by the way.
None
Edge
of
rusher.
them fit that description for him. Like they've done enough that the front end of it is okay for 2024 for the football team. But 2025 at all of them, you're sitting there going, well, what exactly does that look like? You know, for all of those positions for him. So whatever direction they wanted to go at 17 would make some sense for this football team outside of the positions we know they're not going to address, something like corner or quarterback and running back. They're just not going to do that.
Yeah, somebody said speaking of pass rush, somebody said in the YouTube chat, use your third to move up and get Jared Verse. A good GM would get it done. First of all, a good GM might not agree with your assessment that they have to trade up for anybody in this class, that there's going to be, I think we all agree, multiple positions that we see as positions of need that will fit the value of that pick. Secondly, let's say Jared Verse is going to go in the top 10, which I've seen him more now. Like, he started out there in mocks. Then he fell, and he fell into the 20. And then with a terrific combine, he's elevated back up.
Yeah.
You think a third-round pick's going to get you from no matter, I don't care. You name the GM. John Lynch is a good GM, right?
Yeah.
So he'll get it. They'll take his 17th pick to move into the top 10, but they wouldn't take Balky's. I mean,
it'll get you to 14 or 15, but probably not in the top 10.
Right, a good GM could get more out of that third-round pick than Balky will. That's ridiculous. The team's either going to take what that compensation is or not. It doesn't matter who's offering it, quite frankly. It just doesn't. And if you think it does, you're really not paying attention to the National Football League. I was told Eric Armstead won't come here, Tone, because he knows Balky. He knows what, he knows all his awful ways. Well,
what a missed opportunity that would have been.
Immediately signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars as soon as they threw some money in front of him. Maybe he came here because of Trent Baalke. Maybe that.
He didn't avoid him because of him.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway, good week for you, Trent. I'm happy with it. Cornerback getting 38% of the vote, 35 or 34.5 for wide receiver, 17 on O-line, and 10% say pass rush. Still the biggest need for the Jacksonville Jaguars, or the area they need the most help at. Currently, let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Tire Outlet. Tire Outlet is now hiring. Visit tireoutlet.com/careers. Equal opportunity employer.
All right, Joe C. is here with us. Joe, free agency, 1 week in the books. That doesn't mean there won't be other moves like Joey Sly today. But I'm sure today, as much as anything, you want to reflect on what was just one of the best Players' Championships I can ever remember, man.
Gosh. Last year, Scotty Scheffler holed out at 8 and basically jetted away from the field. Hold out.
I hold that at 8 once.
Yeah. I have heard. Although I still maintain my birdie's better than an 8.
You set me up, buddy.
That's only in my head. But anyway, he holed out at 8 and then just jetted away. He made birdie at 9. Pretty sure he made birdie at 10 or 11. Anyway, he ended up winning comfortably. The difference between that win at 17 under and this win at 20 under, it was enormous down the stretch. It really was.
You hear Pockets? Mm-hmm. Pockets was out there yesterday with ET on the fourth hole.
Yeah.
Scheffler's playing the fourth hole.
Yeah.
And Pockets, I don't want to blow the story, but like ET was like, hey, let's go up and watch some more guys tee off. So they were there in position, and they left right as he's about to hold that wedge shot.
There's no way to predict it, but the hill behind 4, which I think we actually talked about this the other day. Anyway, the hill behind 4, you can turn around and watch tee shots at 5, and you can see those shots coming in at 4. And it is a
There's
great
several
little spot.
spots like that.
Yeah, great little spot. And so, yeah, that was for it to 98 yards, 92 yards, whatever it was, just to drop and side spin into the cup. Awesome.
For an amateur, 4 is a terrifying hole. Because it's like an island green, basically,
Nothing
right?
but hills on the left.
A bunch of hills, right?
Native area on the
even
right.
if you're out there, you're hitting sometimes you're hitting an awkward short distance in there, and, you're like trying to take a little something off a wedge, and it's like, that's my own personal problem anyway.
When we would play it, it would be in the thick rough, in the fairway, or in that kind of whatever native area sand,
yes,
like
to the
a
right.
waste bunker.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. We were all swinging the same club. Did not matter. We were just trying to just hoist it as high as possible.
And that's one of those holes that has always bedeviled me out there. All right, so what do you got cooking today?
Yeah, we'll definitely look back on that, and we got brackets to fill out, the players to recount, obviously free agency. Bringing the kicker in, I think, is good. He didn't have to kick a whole lot. They didn't score a whole lot up there in Washington. But anyway, we'll get into all that stuff, and then, believe it or not, spring football. So we're going to touch that as well.
All right, Joe, have a great show.
All right, fellas.
Appreciate it. There you go. A great week out at the Players. Thanks again to 1010XL for hooking us up with these great opportunities to broadcast from all the best spots in Jacksonville. But the PGA Tour, the Players Championship, working with us to accommodate us as well. Had a great week out there. It was awesome to meet a lot of people stopping by. We really appreciate that as well. But we're back, and Jaguars Today has never lost the focus, Tony. We've never dropped the ball. We kept our eye on the ball last week. For us, it's all about the Jacksonville Jaguars and what we're going to do between now and next month's NFL draft. It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah.
Right? You'll be sick of it by then because we'll be talking about every single day. But that's okay. Tomorrow's top 5, tentatively, your wish list. If the Jags remain at the 17th pick, 5 guys in order that you think have a chance to be there, a pretty good chance to be there, and what's your order of preference if they are. So we'll tweet that out a little bit later on today. That'll do it for us. Thanks as well to all our guests who joined us on the phone lines last week. Want to make sure we mention that again. We'll have some great ones coming up for you this week as well, talking Jaguar football. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Stick around. XL Primetime will take over for the next 3 hours right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
Jaguars Today.
From the J.O.